Hello and welcome to another great episode of the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar.
You can only raise a child such that after 18 years of age, they are able to fend for themselves, assuming that Africa is a child. So, should foreign aid be ended and replaced with trade?
Gracing us with their presence today on the stage are Limuru Girls and Alliance High School, both academic giants in their own right, but we want to see their debating wit.
The motion this week is foreign aid should be ended and replaced with trade. Proposing the motion, Limuru Girls High School. Opposing the motion, Alliance High School.
Each contestant has 3 minutes to make their submissions. The audience also gets a chance to put their questions to each team. Each side will have an additional 1 minute to make a final statement. The judge's decision is final. The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together, they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.
We'll begin with the first proposer. You have 3 minutes.
Every day is a right, not a given gift. Trade is the exchange of commodities for a consideration in the essence of cash, whereby foreign aid is where developed countries deem it fit to give undeveloped countries aid. Aid can be in the form of contracts, advice, or labor. Foreign aid creates a platform for neo-colonialism, whereby trade creates a platform for self-independence. Neo-colonialism in the sense that countries, colonial powers, are able to dictate their former colonies, either economically or politically. If developing countries decide to take trade, they will be able to influence the economies the way they want because they will direct them in what they seem fit, because it is their economy. Foreign trade are only short-term solutions. If trade is embraced, they will bring long-term, lasting solutions. Short-term in the essence, if we have an emergency, the aid given will only be able to cater for that certain emergency. But if these developing countries decide to take up trade, they will be able to influence and their revenue will be used according to how they deem fit. For example, the Kenyan government has been able to set up funds like the Women's Fund and the Kazi kwa Vijana, meaning employment for the youth. Hence, they are able to finance very wise ideas thought by people who face the ideas and have thought of ways to improve them. Foreign aid creates a platform for lack of employment. But with trade, we can improve employment opportunities in the essence whereby if foreign aiders, like for example our country Kenya, we decided to collaborate with the Chinese to build the immaculate Thika superhighway, but in coming to help us, they imported most of the materials, machinery, labor. I think if they're even possible, they would import electricity. But if developing countries consider and take up trade, they will be able to channel what they as countries receive in avenues they seem fit. So, as a wise young man once said, if you find yourself arguing with a brilliant idea, it is best to stop arguing and cross over. Thank you.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Jesse Kimotho from the opposing team. Now, regardless of both China and India busy signing deals in Africa, regardless of population exploding, our natural resources depleting, regardless of this adverse balance of trade in the country, the disasters and frequent bombing attacks, regardless of tropic diseases and research on HIV cure, we can't just bumble through this crisis and ignore the significance of foreign aid. Now, what, in the meantime, will happen to the starving Kenyans, the poverty-stricken Zambians, Mauritania, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Chad, and Rwanda, whose 70% of government spending comes from foreign aid? Now, simple solutions for economic growth. Now, the governments in Africa should use foreign aid to create stable governments, do away with corruption, promote human rights, enable transparent information, and rule of law. Not to mention, create an economic environment before we embark on trade. Now, World Bank has a branch of the International Reconstruction and Development Board, which seeks to alleviate poverty worldwide, especially in Africa. Now, through financial investment, bettering food and agriculture through organic farming, disaster response through emergency response and preparedness, and providing education and employment for the youth through vocation in agriculture and livestock management to earn income for thousands of families. Now, a bit of facts for you. The government of Britain gives about £8.7 billion annually, which is about 0.56% of the national income. Now, this money could rise to £11.7 billion if invested, and just merely £9.8 billion if left to sit in a bank. Now, this means that you could pay your debt and remain with about £3 billion to be used. Now, let me tell you where all this money goes. Now, $5 billion was stolen allegedly by the former DRC president, Mobutu Sese Seko, between 1965 and 1967. Malawi's former president, Bakali Muzuli, and Frederick Chilubi of Zambia, that is between 1991 to 2001, where in their tenure, millions were filtered away from health, education, and infrastructure development. Now, if you want to know why Angola is in endemic poverty, just ask Africa's richest woman, Isabel dos Santos, the billionaire daughter of a long-serving president of Angola. Get the irony? I hope you do. Now, when talking about foreign aid, I don't mean the traditional capitalist market of the US and Europe, no, but the non-traditional market of the Middle East and China, where foreign exchange is more than $4 trillion for business. And the market focuses on acquiring credit ratings. Now, I'm talking about the government attracting foreign direct investment by creating attractive tax structures and reducing red tape and very complex regulations for businesses. Now, what we need here is a carrot, a stick, and to better utilize the foreign aid to better our agriculture, our currency, our relationships with the world. And when we have achieved a politically stable continent, let's go out and engage in the competitive trade and not forget to give foreign aid to underdeveloped countries. Thank you.
Time for a rebuttal from the proposing team. You have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's obvious that great minds face opposition from, well, mediocre minds. Thank you very much, my opposing team. I am impressed. You talk of corruption. Do you know that this foreign aid you talk about does not even reach the people it's intended for? Do you know that Kenya is full of corrupt individuals? Do you know that the reason why African economies do not develop is mainly because of corruption? Yet to talk of foreign aid, I am shocked. You also talk of, thank you very much for supporting me on the point of corruption. I am impressed. On to my next point. In alleviating poverty, tell me, how many countries in Africa has poverty been alleviated? How many economies have been improved due to foreign aid? Where has poverty been alleviated because we have borrowed loans from the USA, from Spain, from Germany? Educate me, fellow opposing team. On to my first point. Foreign aid leads to exploitation. It's a matter of scratch my back, I scratch yours. It's okay, we don't dispute. But when it comes to them scratching too hard, I thought it was a matter of them scratching our backs, not accessing our spinal cords. Take the Chinese, for example. They came, they are helping us do this and the other in infrastructure. It's okay. They come with their manpower, just as my colleague said. They come with their labor. It's okay. They also come with their machinery. I even suspect that if they could come with their sufurias, their rice, their chicken, because they do not want to spend even a single cent on Kenyan soil. If that is not exploitation, tell me what is. Fellow worthy opponents, what's the problem? Why don't you want to embrace trade and learn to depend on yourselves? Is it self-esteem? Isn't your ego too high?
Don't you believe in yourselves? Let's get past our self-esteem issues and realize that we can depend on ourselves. We can be self-independent. It starts with believing in yourself. It comes a time when you are the only person who believes in yourself. Yet to go so far, and you look back and wonder how you ever came this far. Let that be this case for Kenya. Because everything is for a season. Kenya is not master of the game when it comes to industrialization, but it's okay. Every country started there. Let us believe in ourselves. Embrace trade, because one day you're up, one day you're down. That's life. Deal with it. Thank you.
Second opposer, you may give your rebuttal. You also have 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vincent Kabubi from the opposing side. My opponent mentioned about scratching our backs through trade, but let's look at our problems. They extend beyond our backs and towards our spinal cord, so I think we should really look at that. We export our coffee under processed and get it back as Nescafe, which is more expensive. Look at the profit margins, they are low. That means we're getting poorer and poorer. You also say that some of the government has set up some funds called the Uwezo Fund. But do you know that this Uwezo Fund, 50% of it comes from foreign aid? It takes 426 days and 15 procedures to get a business permit in Angola. It also takes 119 days just filling out forms to get the business license in the same country. But look at USA. We only take just about 40 days and about 5 procedures so that we can get the same. So just by the sake of that, we see that we need this foreign assistance to even boost trade. We get about 100,000 free mosquito nets through foreign aid. But look at Kenya. Locally, we just produce 500 mosquito nets by 10 people in a week. So we see we need foreign aid in our healthcare. We're not yet there. So the British have also come up with this brilliant plan and a more reasonable plan on foreign aid of buying food from us in our society and distributing it to the locals. And what happens is that we kill two birds with one stone. One, we elevate poverty, and two, we create market for goods. So on the other hand, foreigners are also helping us decide on keeping track on how money is spent, and hence to prevent mismanagement of this aid and these funds, and help elevate poverty, minimize on monopolization and seclusion of citizens by leaders. David Cameron says that foreign aid will and would help if there is a golden thread of stable government, lack of corruption, human rights, transparent information, and rule of law. Hence, we should spend foreign aid working on our extremely flawed system, hence equally draw resources for productivity. $13 billion, in this time we term it as $100 billion, was used in the post-World War II Marshall Plan to help put Europe from the brink of economic abyss. And if that aid could work with a great policy and the right government, we can achieve economic stability, and next time people will be here to debate about whether or not we should give foreign aid to other countries and other continents. By eradication of poverty, I mean institutional changes. We shall be able to compete with Middle East, European, and American markets. Thank you.
May we have questions for the proposers, please?
I'm Geoffrey Jenga from Forces Academy, and I have a question for the proposers. You talk of leaving foreign aid for trade. As we all know, most of our products locally are of poor quality compared to the one that we get from other countries. So how are we going to get quality goods if ours currently are of poor quality? How are we going to get that money that we get from foreign aid?
My name is Samuel Mutemi from Moi Forces Academy. Question to the proposers. I want to ask, you want us to move to trade, but until we get to that utopia you're promising us, we want to know what until then. Will people die? Where will we get our money? How will we survive? Thank you.
proposers.
My name is Zaki Dheka from Moi Forces Academy. My question is to the opposers. You talked about increasing the Kenyan currency through foreign aid. Would you please mention to me examples of African countries whose currency increased through foreign aid and how it increased the currency?
I'm Joyce Wanchiku from Olympic High School. I have a question to the second speaker, opposer. He talked about being the top of the world. And how do you expect to be the top of the world when you strongly believe in foreign aid? Please try to elaborate on that.
May we have the third proposer?
Shirley Cynthia Mujera, Limuru Girls School, before you to strongly propose the motion that foreign aid should be ended and replaced with trade. One of my colleagues wants to find out about the poor quality of goods. First and foremost, it should be noted that most of the goods that we produce are actually of really good quality. However, the foreign aid that we receive provide substandard goods. That is why our goods are not marketable enough. To the second question, you asked about the poverty rates within our countries and how we are supposed to alleviate that with foreign aid. Our government, when it's planning the budget for the whole year, there's the contingencies fund. That money caters for emergencies. And once we get involved in trade, the money is going to be boosted to a greater extent. Therefore, we can be able to use that to alleviate poverty. Let me give my first point. Foreign aid leads to overdependence. How, you may ask? How many years has it been since most African states gained independence? How many years has it been ever since we began receiving foreign aid? 50? 50 and above, definitely. However, come to think of it, a country like Liberia has accumulated 3 trillion shillings of foreign aid that it has to pay back to the United States, to Japan, to Spain. Yet the poverty levels in Liberia are hiking higher and higher each and every year. Yet the foreign aid we're receiving, we claim to be alleviating poverty. Therefore, but by engaging in trade, we can be able to exploit the little that we have. The little that we have, once it's exploited, will be used to the maximum. And by doing so, we can be able to provide a solution to our problems. Secondly, the loans that we get as foreign aid, yes, they have low rates of interest, but don't forget the term long. By being long, they mean that as years go by, the low rates of interest, of course, they accumulate. By accumulating, what does it lead to? We'll have more and more money to pay back, won't we? Yes, we will. A country like Pakistan, for example, has 2 trillion, not billion anymore, it's trillion deficit that it also has to pay back to the countries it has been borrowing from. Yet, in these same countries, they have low rates of interest that they have to pay back on the loans. Think about it, my brothers and sisters. That is a lot of money. And other than that, as my fellow colleague said, aid doesn't even reach the poor who sometimes need it the most. And if it does, it's a small percentage. The countries that give us the foreign aid don't come to ground level most of the times. They believe in our leaders. The money is channeled through them, and some of them, they channel it to their pockets. You see? Marriage is medicine to singlehood. Education is medicine to ignorance. And at the same time, trade is medicine to foreign aid. Thank you.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Vidal Mongi, Alliance High School. Before anything, don't be shy. Don't look at your neighbor or who is looking at you. Just take the number down. World Vision, P.O. Box 716, Federal Way, WA 98063. By the way, if you have taken the number, you are supposed to use the same address to look for bettering of children. By the way, you are a foreign aid on your own. You can help people in Zambia. You see? And you know anyone in the slums in Nairobi, anyone in your home country, use the number, help them. It is good. And then, on the questions asked, if I may, about our currency. The truth is, we all agree foreign aid comes to the country. None of our colleagues have come here and said that No, they don't come into the country. They do come, but they are misused by the leaders. So if this foreign aid can be used to stabilize the government, eradicate poverty, eradicate corruption, then we can embark on alleviation of poverty. We can embark on making you rich. Let us look at countries like Sudan and Somalia. By the way, we are talking of Kenya. Kenya has helped Sudan and Somalia to increase their currency rates. We look at using our foreign aids wisely. Look at where trade was supposed to happen, but it failed. Zimbabwe. They chased away all the investors, foreign. They had inflation because they put in a lot of money in their market. So before even we embark on trade, let us look on creating foreign relationships, because let's face it, Africa, ECOWAS is a regional bloc. All of that, most of the countries there, they process cocoa. Who will they sell their cocoa to? We need cars. They are found in the foreign market. Now, strikes from our public sectors are killing our trade. You can see teachers strike. Don't say I say this, but you can see doctors striking outside there. There's a high cost of buying insurance and premiums in the country instead of keeping money to be used as capital because of insecurity in the country. Just the other day, I heard about something being mentioned, Sabasaba. Who wants to get there? And if we get there, do you want to be the one with a business enterprise in Nairobi, in Mombasa? Let us talk. They have talked about loans, but let us face it. They didn't tell you. I'll tell you, grants, reliefs, they are free. And this is what mostly comes into Kenya, helps the starving Kenyans. Turkana. Thank you.
We'll now get closing statements from the two team. A member of the proposing team to take a minute.
Shirley Cynthia Mujera, Limuru Girls School, proposing the motion that foreign aid should be ended and replaced with trade. It's saddening sometimes that new ideas are not embraced. But as my colleagues and I sit and stand before you today, I tell you in one concept that we believe. Dr. Hartman, in the year 1836, was crowned the first doctor despite being blind. And you know what his father told him? Gladly. He also spoke to me in the words that he spoke to his son. You'll never know unless you try. Therefore, my people will never know how good trade is unless you try. We'll never know the benefits of trade if we keep on restricting our minds. We say that we are a new generation, the 21st century, aren't we? We're the chosen generation. Then embrace your being chosen. Embrace the new light. Embrace trade. Thank you.
A member of the opposing team to take a minute and give us their final submission.
Let's all fight against the kind of kleptocratic dictators like Mobutu Sese Seko of Congo. Let us all join together in the multi-country project of Voices of the Poor. Let us pause some minutes and imagine Kibera, the largest slum, biggest in Africa. Let us look at all those millions of people. Forgive my mentioning of the shanty. But let us look at all the million peoples aching a living in almost as 1 square of a mile. Is it time really to talk about trade? Famine is a natural phenomenon to show that the land cannot carry the population. So if we use this foreign aid to help the people, then, like Ethiopia, we have a population of 80 million instead of the estimated 50 million people. Let me tell you, giving alms is the biggest idea of our times. Millions march for it. Governments are judged for it. Celebrities proselytize the need for it. Let's stop singing the songs taught to us by those who drive around in $1 million cars and face that we need a stable government, we need to make incentives, we need to access the bond market, and we need to make a pro-market government. Do away with coups. And then we can engage in safe, secure, beneficial trade. Thank you.
across the board, I don't have a lot of comments to say because this was what I would say excellent. And I'll just mention a few things, starting with Limuru. Chelsea, good mastery of language, your passion and conviction, your mastery of topic. That was very awesome to start up your team. However, you left us with 40 seconds, and 40 seconds are a lot of unutilized time. So that made your team get penalized. Brenda, good cross-examination, good use of humor. You made me almost forget my role here as a judge, and I enjoyed listening to you. Time-wise, well done. You ended on time. That was good. However, when you generalize and say that Kenya is full of corrupt individuals, that is not good, because I believe there are some here, including me, that are not corrupt, all right? Shali, Cynthia, my goodness, you're back, and you're back with a bang. Very eloquent. I love your dramatical poses. You brought the points home, telling us why people trade and what the importance of that is, using of analogies as well about your father and the conversation you've been having. That was good. Alliance, my goodness. Jesse, this is just a plus. Good mastery of language, passion and conviction. I commend your research. That was awesome as well. Use of dramatical poses and rhetorical questions. That was good. However, time.
This was a great debate. And I think with time we are coming closer to the definition of what we call a debate. You girls are great girls. You guys are great guys. This is where teamwork was very important. And in case one person makes a mistake, then your team loses. And I saw teamwork from both sides, but there'll be a difference. For the first time on our scorecards, we have very high scores. That means that we were impressed to some degree. Kimotho, you started us off very well. I think you're a very strong character. The way you speak, your style is very conversational. I always like conversational style. I don't want a debater who preaches to me, but I want a debater who engages my mental faculties. That is what we are looking for. And your style is good. I simply say, I can see you, I can hear you, I can feel you. Very good for a debater. Kabubi, good. But having spoken after Brenda required you to have upped your game a little, because she left an impression here. By the time she was sitting down, we were already bonding with the debaters. So when you come, or rather when you came, you did well, but you could have done a little bit more. Mwangi, good. Real good debater. Nonetheless, when you're framing questions, be careful. You can frame a question that will give an answer or provoke an answer from the audience, and that answer will confuse you. So ensure that when you frame a question, you frame a content-bound question, not just any other question. But you have a good climax, and you also have careful reference to notes and careful examples. Both teams, you've done us proud. And anyone that proceeds and anyone who loses, don't think that you're a loser. It was quite a spirited fight. Thank you.
The Limuru Girls, the judges gave you 82.7%. Alliance High School, the judges gave you a high score of 77.3%. That makes Limuru Girls our winners for today, and they proceed to the next round.
Bravo to the ladies and the gentlemen on stage for giving us such a hearty debate and making us smile. We hope to see better debates. Till the next time we have more young minds gracing our stage, it's goodbye from us here at the Great Debaters Contest. My name is Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyombo.
The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together, they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.
Thank you.